That's good.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marilyn, CEO and founder of Cosmic Centaurs. And for those of you who don't know us or are joining us for the first time, we are an organizational and leadership development consultancy. And for the past 6 years, we've been running the Cosmic Conference, which is our space to learn out loud, share what we discover with the world and with the leaders that we support. And every year we choose a theme that speaks to the questions that leaders are wrestling with the most. And this year, one theme kept coming up in our conversations, and that's the theme of systems. Many leaders told us they feel stuck in firefighting mode, solving problems that keep coming back. And what we realized is that this isn't a failure of leadership or strategy, but of the systems that they rely on. And that is why this year's theme is The System is the Strategy, helping leaders shift from firefighting to future building. And across our 3 tracks of our online webinars, we'll explore what it means to think in systems, from the foundational tools and methods to real world examples from leaders who've built systems that scale, innovate, and sustain, all the way to the human and spiritual dimensions that bring heart back into the conversation. Today's session is all about unlocking the secrets to sustainable productivity and high performance. We'll be exploring a practical framework that breaks down what it really takes to perform at your best, learn how to design a productivity system that works for your unique rhythm and goal, and talk about insights and lessons from leaders around the world who've mastered the balance between getting things done and staying alive and energized. And to guide us through this conversation, we're joined by Stoyan Yankov, a great friend of mine and a professional speaker and best-selling author. Stoyan is a global keynote speaker, an author, and productivity performance coach who's worked with over 550 clients in more than 30 countries. He co-developed the Perform methodology with Cristobal Allenson to help organizations build stronger and higher performing teams. In 2021, he published his best-selling book, Perform: The Unsexy Truth About Startup Success, followed by Perform in Times of Crisis: How to Lead When Things Get Tough, which distills key learnings into a practical and actionable system. Originally from a small town in Bulgaria, Stoyan studied mathematics and finance before moving to Denmark for graduate study. His early passion for filmmaking, which includes, this I didn't know about you, producing more than 500 films, eventually led him to a more purpose-driven path, helping individuals and organizations elevate their performance and impact. Hi, Stoyan. It's nice to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Grateful to be here, and it's always a pleasure to be talking to you because I'm learning so much after every conversation. So thanks for having me, guys, and what a great conference.
Oh, likewise, by the way, we always say the sign of a great friendship is when each person thinks they get the better end of the deal. I also learn every time that I speak with you. So I'm very excited about today. And today's story, you're going to be kicking us off with a 25 or so minute presentation around
Mhm.
your methodology and what you've learned from it. And then later on, I'll join back and we'll have a conversation. I have a lot of my own questions, but we're also hoping that the audience will have added some of their own, and we will be able to cover all of them in the second half of today. Ready?
Let's go. Let's get on
All
going.
right. Over to you.
Alrighty. All right, everybody. Great having you this morning or evening, wherever you are in the world. So today we'll talk about perform building systems to perform. It was really interesting. A few years ago, I found this study that showed that less than 2 years is the average time that some of the largest organizations, tech giants, companies that can offer any kind of paycheck, any kind of benefits, some of those companies they manage to retain their people less than 2 years on average. And I was curious why is that the case? Only less than 2 years. And then I started to check the reports and the feedback that the employees of these companies after they left they left for the company. And this was some of the reasons. Everything is emergency. No feedback is given. No appreciation is given. Manager takes all the credit. The entire corporate culture. Very interesting. It wasn't about the paycheck. It wasn't about the benefits, the things that they are giving. These are very important factors, obviously. We all know that. But it was mainly stuff related to culture, related to their manager, related to how they've been appreciated and treated. Now, as Marilyn said, I've been traveling the world, working with many different organizations, and when you do that, you get to learn what they do right, what they do wrong. I've been speaking across the globe, and with that, meeting some of the most influential people on the planet. Some of them interviewing them on my podcast and learning from them, their tools. People like Guy Kawasaki, the founder of Reebok, the CEO of Cosmic Centaurs, Marilyn, president of Starbucks, incredible people. And when you get to talk to so many people, you get to see there's some patterns. And of course, we 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 did a lot of interviews with more people. We tried to understand what are the things that make a team perform at their best. And I came down to, I mean, always we're thinking about maybe there's some major thing that they do, but at the end of the day, if you have to summarize it, it comes down to two things. Organizations that perform at their best, they care for the productivity. Number one, productivity, getting results, getting things done, being systematic. And number two, something that I would say as leaders, we tend to neglect sometimes a little bit more, caring for the people, putting people first. Now, most organizations, if you look at their PR, press materials, they'll say, we put people first. But do they really do it? And the more you put people first, the more productive the company is in the long term. People first organizations are performing better. It's not just my observations, even though I have a lot of observations by that time. It's true. You can see a lot of studies. You can observe organizations if you do it the right way. We're not just talking about let's just take care of the people and not care about the results. No, that's not what we talk about. There has to be a balance in between these two. And it's always, I always get this question because I travel a lot. Okay, what is this one strategy? Give me a hack. Give me a tool. How do I build a peak performing team? How do I build such a culture? The bad news, there's no magic pill. You have to do the work. Unfortunately, it is not as sexy as it should be. I'm not here to tell you this is the one thing you should do and you're going to build an incredible culture, you're going to build an incredible company, because that doesn't exist. You have to do the work consistently. You have to commit to those two things. If you're a leader, or even if you're an employee, you're not managing anybody, you have to commit. I'm going to show up at work. I'm going to contribute for the organization to be productive and for the people to be taken care of. Because when we do that consistently, things are going to evolve. We have a chance to build such a culture. I want to give you today a little bit of a methodology because, as Marilyn also mentioned, and the whole conference is all about, you need a system. Actually, you need many systems. You need something that you can follow through on. It's very difficult when you don't have a system because we are busy. There's so many things that demand our attention. So Christopher, my co-author, and I decided a few years ago, what if we put together a methodology, a system? It's not rocket science. Most of the stuff that I'm going to share today is more reminders. You already know this stuff. But it's not about what we do. It's what we do consistently. And when you have a system, it's easier to follow through. So that's kind of the premise. How do we perform consistently well? The perform methodology. Perform is an acronym, and it stands for 7 key areas every team should pay attention to on a consistent basis. But because we are so busy, often we forget them. It's not that we don't know them, but we forget them. So with this methodology, my hope is you're going to get some ideas how you can pay attention to those areas more often as a team, because when you do that, you have a better shot to be performing consistently well. Okay, let's get on going, guys. Perform. P stands for purpose and values. Purpose. Why do you do what you do? What is your mission? What is your purpose? Why do you exist as an organization? Doesn't matter if you're running a startup or if you're CEO of a large organization, multinational company. How clear are you articulating the purpose? I mean, check out any research in the recent years. Millennials, Gen Z, what do they care about? They care about making an impact. They care about understanding how their work contributes to making somebody else's life better. What is your purpose? This is the heart of your organization. Why do you exist? Maybe you know, but how much do you inspire people with that? How much do you drive change with that? I had a great pleasure to have a few conversations with the former president of Starbucks, number two in Starbucks for many years, the guy who brought servant leadership to Starbucks in the 90s. In the 90s, when he joined the company, there were 30 Starbucks shops. They were not selling coffee cups of coffee. They were selling coffee beans. And he was so sold on the concept of servant leadership that he transformed the organization from inside out, making it a purpose-driven organization. One of the things that they did successfully, they had to define the purpose of the organization, and they wanted to inspire everybody with a purpose. So they came together, they brought a great guy to moderate the session, and this is the purpose they came up with: to be one of the most respected, the well-known and respected organizations in the world, known for inspiring and nurturing the human spirit. Inspiring and nurturing the human spirit. Nothing about coffee. Every person who joins the organizations, they need to be committed to the mission, to the purpose of organization, inspiring and nurturing human spirit. Can you imagine how the barista shows up at work? If your job is to inspire and nurture human spirit, your job is not to make coffee. So it's about the service, it's about caring for people. Not only the customers, also your team. So why do you do what you do? And again, this is Starbucks, right? You can say, yeah, but it's not for every organization. Well, check out my accountant. It's a Danish guy, great guy, Klaus. He's been my accountant since 2014, I think. And if you go to his webpage, you're going to see this sign. And it's in Danish. I'm going to translate it to you. I help small business owners sleep better at night. He's not an accountant. Well, he's an accountant. But he's driven by his purpose. He gets excited when he helps people with small business with less than 50 people to sleep better at night. You know, when you're accounting, like thinking about the bookkeeping, the administration, you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to do that. No, the way he offers his packaging, I can call him any minute. And this is part of what I'm paying him as a package. I can call him and say, hey, Klaus, I'm struggling with this. He's not charging me extra. It's part of the package. He lives it. He's excited. He's committed. You can see when I'm like, Klaus, thank you so much. You helped me. He loves it. That's why he's there. What is your why? Why do you exist? I mean, it took me a while for me personally. I have a small company to realize what my why is. I have two purposes, two professional purposes. And I cannot separate them. I have those two. One of them, bringing good people together. And the second one, empowering workplace culture of productivity and care. So right now I'm living my purpose. And I'm really grateful to the guys from the Cosmic Conference for getting me here. But everything I do is connected to my purpose. Doesn't matter if you're writing books, if I'm delivering a keynote, if I'm joining somebody else's podcast, if I'm organizing a mastermind retreat, if I'm organizing my morning exclusive events. Everything I do, this is my compass of saying yes to things. Is that going to help me live my purpose? And same thing for your organization. Maybe you're a manager, maybe you're a middle manager, I don't know. And you cannot really go and say, hey, let's change the mission. How do we articulate it for the whole organization? But maybe you can be the person that is inspiring this to your direct reports and say, hey, guys, I got to tell you, the stuff that you do is making an impact. Let me show you how the customers are feeling because of what you do. How much do you remind people about the why? How clear are you around the why? And if you're a top executive, that might be the best hack. Bring all the top executives and just say, guys, that's really important. We need to spend more time on the purpose, on the culture, on the people. And then you come up with some great ideas. And then the second part of purpose and values, obviously, is values. By the way, when you know your purpose, it's so much easier to go through hard times. At some point in my career, I had to take a job as a dishwasher. I was 30 years old. My video production company didn't succeed. So I needed some money. I took a job as a dishwasher. Award-winning producer, dishwashing. But I wasn't washing dishes. I was living my purpose. Dishwashing was my vehicle to eventually one day be working full-time as a professional speaker, as a corporate trainer. That's what I do today. But it took me a year working as a dishwasher. Was it easy? No, but it was easier because I knew why I was doing it. Okay. And the second part is the values. Every organization have values. This should be the compass about how you do things, how you hire people, who are people you bring on board. Not just it's on the ad and it sounds good and we got these consultants and they help us to, to put together some really nice words. No, it's not about words. Do you really live these values? This is how you get distinguished. Your values. This is our agreement about how we do things. Now this is the values of my team. It took us maybe a couple of years to get more clear what are the values, what matters most to us. It's not an order of priority. It's just like those things really matter to us, the way we do things. And I told that people got it. Well, apparently they didn't get it for a while because the word productivity and ownership means something to me, but it probably means something to somebody else. You need to be like a gardener as a leader. And these things you need to come back over and over and over again. And you need to break it down. I know I have a small team. Obviously, it's harder with a larger organization, but there's ways to do it. But then you break it down, right? Like, okay, the value is productivity and ownership, but what does it mean to us, right? You need a system, operational system. You need guidelines for people to follow, not rules, but guidelines. Okay, this is what productivity and ownership means in the context of our company. For example, you have to fill in your weekly success sheet, which is just a little sheet with 4 questions that you have to fill in because on the Monday meeting, weekly meeting that we have, yours doesn't have to be on Monday, but ours is on Monday. Then you have to share what did you achieve, what did you fail to achieve and why, what did you learn, what are some new opportunities, right? But this is something for us, for our culture. This is what values are. Values is about how do we do things. And you better be clear. And because then it's easier to get people on board. People should not be just, oh, he's really skilled marketer and we can afford him. Let's get him on board. Yeah, but is he fitting the culture? Is he fitting the values? Does he believe in the same things we do? Because otherwise it's not going to work. It's never happened. I've never seen an organization that hired somebody that's not a culture fit and it worked at the end. It just doesn't happen. Okay, so purpose and values, really, really important. The second area, effective planning. And I often do workshops and trainings with different organizations. We talk about time management, we talk about productivity, and somebody will raise their hand and say, but Stoyan, I don't have time to plan my time. I'm just so busy. I get it. For some other people, yes, but for me, I don't have time to plan my time. And I'm always smiling. I'm like, okay, interesting. Maybe you should create time to plan your time consistently so that you can have more time. Maybe. I don't know. Who am I to say, right? You can do anything, but you can't do everything. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. This is personally for you individually, but also for your team. You can't be everywhere. So many organizations I work with are struggling because they're everywhere. You can't be everywhere. You have to plan. You have to strategize. You need to have a very clear, consistent strategy first, right? What is the vision of the organization? What's the strategy? And then you need to break it down and you need to understand how do we do it from there. I think this is one of the major challenges. Many organizations I work with, they're very clear often on the annual goals, maybe the quarterly goals, but then somewhere down the line things get broken. The managers, the middle managers, the whoever it is there, they need to break this down into a system. How do we make sure we execute on these objectives? I don't know if you're using like OKRs or goals or KPIs, like whatever you're using, you need to have a system. And it's not rocket science, by the way. Don't think it's something super complicated. It's just an alignment. Let's say I'm managing 6 people. I have 6 people under me, and we have these objectives for the quarter. Okay, sit together with your team. All right, guys, How do we make sure we achieve the results? How often do we have meetings? Let's meet on Friday, 3 o'clock, and everybody's going to share the progress. And then you set concrete, measurable goals. You've probably seen these slides right before. Always start with the end in mind. I mean, you have to create an outcome-driven culture. This is on you. Everybody listening, it's on you. Outcome-driven culture. If people tell you tomorrow I'll do sales, okay, cool. What does that even mean? No, tomorrow I'm going to call 35 potential customers in the first 3 hours of the day. Okay, amazing. That's more concrete. You can be even more concrete. You have to be concrete. Meeting with Marilyn is one thing. Tomorrow I'll have meeting with Marilyn. Spend an hour meeting with Marilyn. Check. Not great. How about agree on budget for project X and define specific roles and responsibilities? That's the outcome of the meeting. Everything you do, you need to have an outcome. And if you do that and you coach your people, they'll become better. And that's a lot of productivity, guys. So much productivity is lost because we are not clear what's the objective, what's the outcome. Okay, so have your own process, have your own system. I cannot tell you what it is. These guys from Hungary, HROs, heroes, right? Great company from Hungary. What they do, for example, and it works for them, they have a little process. So every what do you call it? Every month, I think, but you can do it every week as well. Every month, the managers of every department will meet and they will share with the rest. They will pitch more the rest. What are your top priorities for your department? If you're a smaller company, it could be just for you. What are your top priorities right now? You can see some of them are connected to the OKRs. You can kind of visualize it this way. But important thing is, for example, this guy Lucas is saying, hey guys, my priority is fundraising. And then number 2, client workshops. That's it. Like, he's probably going to be very focused, right? Because he only have 2. He can choose 5, he only have 2. The less the priorities, the bigger the focus. That's one thing. Secondly, it's about alignment. You publicly commit to these priorities. Guys, this is my priority today, this month. And then you see Lucas and he's not doing fundraising. You're like, hey, Lucas, what's going on? You committed to fundraising. What are you doing? Right? There's accountability. But also, if I'm Zolt and I say US investor is my number 1 priority this month, you can say that's great, but they are not in the process of giving us the money right now. Let's push that to the next month. So you can talk to each other and then you align it. All right, guys, these are our priorities. Specifically for this company, they have a rule of thumb. So number 1 priority should take 30% of your time. Number 2, 25. So top 5 priorities should take like 90% of your time and energy and resources. And maybe that works for you. Maybe something similar works for you. Maybe not. I don't know. But you need to have a system. If it's just intuitive, you're probably going to lose your productivity. And you don't want that. People want to perform. People want to be given high, stretch goals and results. But you as a manager, you need to create this environment. Okay? So effective planning, very important. Third one, roles and responsibilities are. Initially, we were not about to, we were looking for a letter. We wanted to do perform the acronyms, and we were like, let's put roles and responsibilities. And we were joking that it's probably going to be the chapter that's with the least like a two pages chapter or something. And the more we started working on that, the more we understood people don't know their responsibilities. People don't know what they do in a company. Go talk to 100 employees and ask them, do you know what are your exact responsibilities under your role? Usually people know the role. I'm a marketing assistant. I'm a IT developer. Okay, cool. What are all your responsibilities? Oh, I'm getting dropped responsibilities from so many departments. Interesting. Somebody didn't do their job, maybe. And we're so different. When it comes to allocating roles and responsibilities, you gotta really commit to get to know your people. Sometimes, and I've done this mistake in my past, you kind of subconsciously think everybody works like you. They operate the way you do. They think the way you do. If I'm a morning person, I kind of feel like I should allocate tasks in a way like, people should also work in the morning, like really be strong in the morning. Some people are not really strong in the morning. I need to understand my people. What motivates them? What are their strengths? What are their passions? I had a really good conversation with my good friend and one of the world's leading experts on neurodiversity. Neurodiversity, neurodiverse people are people with ADHD, autistic, mm, people whose brain operates differently than ours. Apparently, there's 20 to 40% of people of the workforce that's on the spectrum of neurodiversity. That's reported. There's probably a lot more. So, what is that telling us? We need to spend a lot of time to understand our people. How do they like to work? How do they like to communicate? How do they like to be given feedback? Do they like to be more, you give them task and responsibility really clearly? Do you like to hear more the vision? And then they break it down. Like you have to spend a lot of time understanding your people, getting to know your people, so you can place them in a position to succeed. The most important thing, you place them in a position to succeed. Imagine I get this guy on board, but the only position I have is on the goalie. Hey, Cristiano, go get the goalie, brother. You're gonna be the goalkeeper. Ah, sorry. All the other positions are they already taken. And Cristiano is doing his best. He's working hard. He's a decent keeper. Maybe he's not gonna be utilizing his full potential because me as a manager, I failed him. And I'm sure there's some Ronaldos in your team, untapped talent. Why? Because maybe we hired them for something, but we didn't understand that they have some other strengths. They have some other passions. And by the way, it's not just about the strengths. Skill set, very important. You want to know what your people are. What are they good at? All the stuff they're good at. I love the Clifton Strengths Finder, for example, a great test to start this conversation. But you can also observe them. You can hire somebody for I once hired somebody to be a video editor. She became my best business development person. Reaching out, setting up meetings with clients. She was great at that. She didn't like video editing. She was really good at it. She wanted to join the team, so she applied for this position. Maybe Ronaldo applied for the position of goalie because she wanted to play for this team. Probably not, but you get the point, right? But then the second part is passions. What do you actually love to do? I had a lot of conversations with her, and I was like, "Hey, what are you excited about? You know what? I'm actually curious to learn business development. Okay, that'll be good. I'll be happy if you go and set up meetings and that's bringing money, right? Revenue generating activities. Cool. Let's talk about it. Great exercise. We call it map of responsibilities. You can find it more like in depth in our book Perform, the unsexy truth about startup success. But I'll give you the overview. You make a list of you ask everybody from the team. These are, it's a spreadsheet, put them together. But you ask everybody, hey guys, these are the tasks these are the responsibilities in the team. How do you feel about doing them? Traffic light, green, amazing, love it. Yellow, kind of. Red, not really. I'll do it if I have to, but it's not really my thing. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it. I cannot promise that you're not going to do red or yellow, but let's see if there is any things we can play around. Is there anything that maybe you can start doing? And by the way, do you have conversations with your team about development? Hey, where do you see yourselves 2 years from now? How do you want your role to evolve? Do you see yourself evolving on the same kind of, or is it a little bit more diagonally? Like you're a marketing person, do you want to be more senior marketing person, or is there something else you're more curious about? Let's have a discussion so we can find what is something that's valuable for the team, but also is valuable for you in the direction you want to evolve. You have these conversations consistently. Care for productivity, care for the people. Okay. And then when you know what your people love to do, you can have a racy afterward, a racy metrics, and say, hey guys, who's accountable, who's responsible, who's consulted, good. But let's keep in mind, what do you love to do? What are things that you really love to do and develop, so we can actually create something that's purpose driven. Okay. Whatever it is you do, have more conversations about the exact responsibilities. People want to know how far their decision making is. And so often in companies, they don't know. In this project, Maria, Peter, and George, you guys take care of this project. No accountability. Group accountability is no accountability. Who's the one accountable? It's simple. It's not easy because we're busy. But we have to do it if you want to have a high performing team. Okay, Focus on execution. I love this quote by my friend and CEO of a very successful company, close.com, CRM system from Silicon Valley. I asked him about productivity. He said, my biggest productivity tool is saying no. For 1,000 opportunities that come to you, you have to say no to 999. That's what he said. It just, you have to get clear what are your priorities. And what distracts you and your people? What distracts your people? That's a really good question. Just, sit down. If you're managing people, maybe you're not managing people. So what distracts you then? But if you're managing people, even if you have 5 people to manage, or 100 or 1,000, what distracts my direct reports day to day? Is it they don't have clear priorities? And that's why they get distracted. They're everywhere. They're multitasking all the time. Is it we are throwing too many different things at them? What distracts my people? And what can we do to create an environment that's not distracting them so they can focus on the things that matter most? By the way, a really interesting distraction. Everybody knows about it. We don't really talk about it much. Meetings. There's so much waste in corporations, especially on meetings. There was a report done by Other. The cost of unnecessary meeting attendance. Check the stats. According to this report, with many attendees in the survey, managers, the one on the right is managers. Managers spent 22.2 hours of meetings per week. 22.2 on average. It's number of meeting 21.3. So on average, like 1 hour per meeting. These are the non-managers, 13.7 less meetings for the non-managers, but still. And then if you ask them how much of them were unnecessary meetings, we say manager says 6.5 hours per week were unnecessary hours spent on meetings. If they're working 40 hours a week, what is the percentage? You guys figure it out. 6.5 out of 40. And it's not just you spend hours, you spend mental energy. Unnecessary meetings. Sometimes you're the ones that are creating these meetings. You invite everybody. Not everybody needs to be on a meeting. Be the change. If you want to have productive meetings, you got to be the change. You got to be the person that's an example. So if you set a meeting, well, create an agenda. Only invite the people that needs to be there. Prepare the things that need to be prepared in advance. You don't have to waste the time of everybody. Get the agenda in place. Identify the outcomes. Send the outcomes. Tell the people that need to prepare something to do it. Join the meeting. You facilitate the meeting. Hey, everybody, today we have to discuss this and this and this. Moderate the meeting. If somebody gets off board, make sure you bring them back. If somebody needs to leave because they're done, hey, Michael, you can leave, brother. All right. We continue here to finish this up. Get the outcome, get it done. You save half an hour, 1 hour, 2 meetings. Some meetings need to be an email. We know that. So meetings, a big distraction. But there's a lot of other distractions. And the way you understand what your distractions are by identifying your priorities. Systems, right? One of the systems that I have is my top 3 priorities. I need to be clear what are my top 3 priorities. Always. Right now, if you ask me right now, this is now. Number 1 priority for me, serving clients and delivering at the highest level. Keynotes, workshops, trainings. My number 1 priority, my time, energy, now is the season at events, is preparation and delivering those things. And then taking care of the customers, sending them emails back, talking to them, right? Serving the clients. Number 2, attracting participants to my own the stage. I'm doing something in Sofia, in Bulgarian, guys, so fortunately. But it's in-person event about public speaking and presentation skills to the event. So this is my number 2, attracting participants to own the stage. Number 3, close speaking corporate training gigs. I'm in negotiation with several clients right now. So this is important to me. These are my top 3 priorities. I need to spend 90% of my time making progress on those priorities. And it's a really good thing to do. Top 3 priorities. If you have your team and every week everybody from the team shares, what are your top 3 priorities this week? Maybe Friday, right? You have a meeting. Hey, next week, what are your top 3 priorities? What are you going to focus on? Where is your time going to be going? Because then afterwards you can easily plan your day, you can plan your meetings, you can say no to things. If something is not significantly improving progress on my priorities, then it's not going to be on my agenda. I can easily say no because I know my priorities. Most people don't know their priorities. Ask them. Maybe you're their manager. Ask them, what are your priorities? They wouldn't know because you didn't help them, you didn't coach them. So, top three priority. I don't know. This is a system that works for us. Maybe it doesn't work for you, but you have to find something that's simple enough and that's regular enough, like a system, so you can be more productive. You can be more focused. It's not just about planning, it's about getting things done at the end of the day. Okay. Um, and you can, by the way, do a little reflection. If you don't feel like you're really living your priorities, you can go and check. All right, if these are my top three priorities, let me look at back at last week. What percentage of my working hours went into my top three priorities? And what would be the ideal? Now it's at 20. I want it to be at 80. Okay, what do I have to do? What do I have to say no to? So I can be fully focused on my priorities. Okay, good reflection exercise. Check it out. Next one, optimal energy. O for optimal energy, well being. Okay, we are working hard. We are fully committed. We need to take care of empowering well being practices as well within the company. The best organizations I've seen, these are companies that invest in the well being of the organization, holistically, strategically. You can do many things. Some organizations are bringing in yoga practitioners or making sessions for the well-being, buying some of those, gym cards and sports and things, empowering conversations about this. I personally, me and my team, we have something we call personal development hour. And by the way, learning and development, huge, huge. Some studies show that organizations, sorry, not organizations, employees or workers, the number one reason they join a new place is the learning and development opportunities. Salary is after that, very important, salary, but learning and development opportunities to learn and grow. And if you think about well-being, personal development, we do this thing, personal development hour, every week, 60 minutes we spend on topic connected to personal development. Often it's not connected to what we do. Identity-based habits, journaling, meditation, time management. Because you invest in your people, you invest in your well-being, you make people develop the right kind of habits, sleeping well, taking breaks, drinking water. I worked with an organization once, and very, very competitive organization. And I'm starting to observe the culture, right? I go there in person. I went to the kitchen. They had Red Bulls, Coca-Cola, sugar, candy, coffee. That's it. That's everything they had in the kitchen. How do you think they're performing? Well, they're stimulated, right? You just get more stimulants. What about tomorrow? What about next month? People burn out. That's not what you want. You want to create the space where people can be taking care of themselves. If you're a good example, if you go to the gym, if you sleep well, if you take breaks, if you drink a lot of water, you're most likely going to inspire that to others as well. But you can create sessions. You can inspire people. You can give them the offs. There's so many strategies we can do, but we need to pay attention to the energy of the people. Robust communication. Communication, the biggest one, probably the biggest area. Creating great internal communication. I had a conversation with a cinematographer from Hollywood, Shane Herbert, the guy who didn't produce. He shot some of these movies: Need for Speed, Terminator, Love Heart, Game of Thrones, some episodes, and ask him, Shane, what are some of your biggest struggles as a leader? Like, I mean, on Terminator, you had 250 people just in the camera department. What are some of your biggest leadership struggles? And he said, my biggest challenge as a cinematographer, as a leader, is to make sure every person from my team is making the same movie. I was like, wow, what a great metaphor for business as well. Is every person from your team making the same movie? Maybe it's very clear in your head what's happening, but is everybody on the same page consistently? From the executives all the way down. Is every person like that? The operations, the marketing, the sales, is everybody making the same movie? Think about it. right? How do we create those kind of communication systems so we're always on the same page? And then high performing teams, they tend to create feedback culture. Sometimes we do feedback top down, right? We're good in giving feedback, not often, but we do it. But we're not so good to create space for the people at the bottom to give us feedback. Because that's what the operational guys, people that operate, they see the problems. And if you create a safe space for people to give you feedback, that means, I don't know, create meetings, show that it's not dangerous if somebody points out something is not going well. People are afraid to give you feedback, and you're missing out on productivity. Okay? Robust communication, next one. And the final one, so we can have the perform letters, mental toughness, our capability to deal with stressors. What do you do when things are not going well? How do you perform as a team under pressure? In the last 5 years, guys, in the world context, lots of crisis. Mental toughness is a great, great skill. What do you do when things are not going well? How do you remain calm? How do you work under pressure? Not just you as a leader. And I've done this mistake many times over. When there is a storm, I thought the leader should be first. I need to just take on all the hits. Yeah, but I'm crippling my people. My people need to fail. I need to let my people to solve crisis as well. So it's not just about me. It's about creating a resilient team. The most resilient teams are the ones that go through struggles together, and you can test it with minor tasks. You have a, but you gotta give them responsibility. You gotta give them ownership. And when they ask you for advice, especially if it's not a major crisis, you coach them. You don't give them the answers. You don't give them the solutions. You coach them so they can toughen up. Because when the real crisis hits, you want to have soldiers. You want to have warriors. And all these letters are connected, by the way. If people are connected to the purpose, to the values, if you take care of them, when there is a crisis, I'm telling you, they're going to show up. I've seen it many times. Kaidi, Kaidi Rusalep, the former CEO of Tallinn Stock Exchange and founder of Fundrabeam, she told me this. I don't know if it's a metaphor. She said every leader in organization is also CMO, Chief Motivation Officer, especially in difficult times. You don't have the luxury to show up with a grumpy face and complain and point fingers. No, you're a leader. Calm yourself down, show up, and especially in difficult times, you gotta show up every day and point people at the positive. No, don't bullshit them. Just point them at the positive. Hey guys, look, we're working hard. We're doing our best. Let's keep on going. Well done yesterday. Great effort. Okay. Mental toughness. So these are the 7 areas: perform, purpose and values, effective planning, roles and responsibilities, focus and execution, optimal energy, robust communication, mental toughness. Just to wrap it up, this is an exercise, by the way. This is an assessment tool. I do it often with my team. So you show your team, maybe you bring your team of 5, 10 direct reports together and say, guys, let's do a little exercise. I want you to rate from 1 to 10 how we are doing as a team in each of these areas. Let's say the last 30 days. Give me the average. Please don't BS. Tell me the truth. We need to talk about it. Let's just have a little bit of a discussion. And then everybody says, well, purpose and values. How much are we living our values? How much are we connected to the purpose? 5. The other person says 9. The other person says 3. Interesting. Why is it a 3, Maria? I think it's a 9. Okay, let's talk about it. Where is the gap? Guys, you're gonna see so much good stuff from here. Because usually these are not things we talk about, but when you give them a framework, when you give them a system, they will talk and they will tell you what's wrong. And you have to put your ego aside, because sometimes it's gonna be on you. But it doesn't matter that you made a mistake or you didn't foresee something. What matters is that you make an improvement. Because at the end of the day, we wanna perform. We wanna build things. So at the end of the day, it's coming down to those 2 things: productivity and people. Caring for productivity, caring for people. And if a system like that helps you, for me it does, for hundreds of companies around the world does, I'm super happy You guys go, use it, get some inspiration, maybe rate yourself from 1 to 10 in each of those areas and see where you can make some improvements. So that's for me. Marilyn, want to have you back here. Oh, by the way, if anybody's interested in those kind of topics, you're welcome to check out the Productivity Mastery podcast, but we'll be back to this anyway. So anyway, thanks, Marilyn. Let's talk about it. I went a little bit over time, but thank you for allowing me. You're muted now. You're muted now.
Of course I am. Why wouldn't that happen? Thank you so much, Stoyan. That was, I mean, even for me, and I like align 200% with everything you said. This was such a great talk, and really great reminders and really down to earth tools. It really kind of, it gave me energy, honestly. So thank you so much for that. Let's start there.
I'm
There
looking
was
forward to,
something.
to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing you and your team doing the performance assessment now.
I'm happy to. Honestly, I was going to ask you about it in just a second. And I just want to resonate first with a few of the things you said. I wrote them down
Mm.
because some things really spoke to me. And
Okay.
then I have questions. The audience has questions. So we're going to try and cover some of these.
All right. Let's go.
I'm going to start off with your first key message about balancing performance and people. Like, I really want to stop there. I think we all tend to want to believe that this is an opposition of that you can't care for your people and also be tough on performance. And nothing could be further from the truth. And I really love that that's the reminder you start with. I also really resonated with the gardener metaphor. A couple of years, I write a letter to my team every year. And I think year two, if I'm not mistaken, I wrote a letter about being gardeners, because you got to, organizations and people and ideas and projects, these are all like living beings, and you have to constantly prune them and take care of them and cut the parts that don't work and feed the parts that do. And I really, really, really love this metaphor. And then lastly, one last resonance is, I also really love the simplicity of what you're suggesting. Taking time to plan your time, your responsibility, making sure everybody knows what's what, clarifying goals. Like, they're so simple, and yet you made the point that oftentimes they're still hard, but it's about getting good basics right every day. And I really love those. So those are the things I resonated with. I'm sure everybody in the audience had other things, and I can see also from the comments, what were some of the highlights that they brought in. Again, a couple of people resonated with the performance and people piece, with this idea that we also come to work to learn. I don't know if I've shared this with you, but there's actually two Nobel Prizes that explains why companies exist. And one of them say that the reason why individuals trade off freedom to work for a company is in return for knowledge. So you've really hit it on the head with that one. Just a little trivia for you there. We have a lot of questions for you, so I'm going to try to
Mhm.
get us through them. And the first one was asked by a member of the audience, and I had a similar one. Um, the idea is like all of these simple practices that you've given us in order to build high performing teams. Um, you've said, and I've heard in one of your TEDx, you always say that this applies to everything from startups to larger organizations. And I can totally see, and I hope that I practice a lot of these myself as a leader of a small company. But I wonder, how do you scale that? Like, how do you talk to a company that has 4,000 employees and tell them and guide them through the process of deploying these kind of best practices?
Now, the real answer is, if there is a buy-in from the top, that's making everything so much easier and better. I mean, it's not an excuse though. So let's talk about the first example. There's a new CEO. Marilyn becomes the CEO of a 4,000 people organization. She wants to make a change. First of all, you have to be armed with patience, because this kind of change is not going to happen tomorrow. It's probably going to take a few years. So that's a project. It's not a one-time thing, especially if you have a company that's been operating for 10, 20, 30 years. There's culture already established, so it's not easy. Let's cut the crap, let's cut the BS. It's going to be difficult. No, but it's true. It's true, but it doesn't mean there's no way for a transformation. I mean, Marilyn, you do so much research on that. There's companies that have done transformation, massive transformations. Even if you look at Microsoft, I'm not so close, so I haven't really researched them in a big depth. But you can clearly see the difference between Steve Ballmer and Satya Nadella, right? One
Sure.
of them is so much people focused. I don't want to talk much about it because I really haven't researched them in depth. But from the outside, it looks like at least there's a big difference in the way you treat people. But it didn't take a day; it took a while. I've worked with an organization like this where there was a new CEO. She wants to make a difference. So, and it's a commitment. It's not a one day thing. You have to clarify the vision. What do we do? You need to start initiatives. It needs to be a holistic strategic commitment from the top level of management if you want to really make a change. And you need to involve people in the bottom and in all levels of the organization. That's another one. You need to have a buy-in from the top, but you need to involve everybody. um was a great leader I had at the podcast, Chris Robbins. You need to connect, by
Mhm.
the way. He's also a common friend with Cristobal. He was the CEO of a telco in Estonia,
Uh-huh.
Tele 2. Mm, and we had a conversation. He's like, I love to be a transformation leader. Like they bring me in a company, I run it for 5 6 years, I make a transformation, then I go to another company. That's his gig in a way. And he says the first thing I do, i spent I spent a couple of months talking to people. He
Mhm.
has lunches, coffees, he observes. He doesn't really do so much operationally. He just goes around and try to understand the company. And for example, in his case, that was Tele2, the company. So he'll go and talk to people and say, who in your opinion, who is a Tele2 person? Who
Mhm.
is a Coca-Cola person? Who is a whatever company person? Who is a Cosmic Centaurs person? And then they tell you, Maria she's really representing our values. So he brings all these people that people point to, and he says, you know what, guys, I want you to clarify our values and our purpose and what we stand for. He sends them to a retreat, and he says, I have a rule. I'm not sending any executives, any managers in there. So these people I sent are just the people that, from all parts of the organization, but no executives. And they have to identify what do we stand for. They have to tell what who we are. And you involve people from all levels. Everybody needs to have a say. Everybody needs to be contributing with ideas. And then you can start building strategies, initiatives, communication things. And it takes a while. It takes a while, but you can do it. And again, there will be some people in the audience who say, yeah, but my top management doesn't want to do that. Everybody can make a change, I believe. You can make an impact, you can make a change within your team. And you can say, you know what, guys, the whole organization is running a certain way. That's fine. Let us create our own little organization within the organization. We're going to be aligned with everybody else, but hey, let's build these habits. Let's build these cadences, these rituals. We want to be impactful. We want to be connected. Let's talk about our values. You have a team of 10 people. Get them on a offsite and just talk about these things. What do we stand for? How do we work? How often do we have a meeting? So you can create your little ecosystem. That's
Yeah.
that's my approach.
That's for sure. I believe in that 100%. And we see it in the data, anyways. You stay in a company because of your leader or your manager, not because of the company. So you can definitely create your own microcosm. But I do also resonate with this idea that transformation is not a short process and there are no silver bullets. But if you were to say, out of all of the different practices that you showed us, which one do you see wield the fastest result? Because we do need a bit of, like, short term wins when we're transforming things. But which one's your favorite out of all of the different practices that you shared with us today?
I mean, look,
Or
I
the one
started. I used to be a movie producer, and what changed my life, and what I would say to everybody listening would probably change theirs if they're not implementing it. Is this outcome driven approach?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm a productivity guy. What changed my life, Marilyn, was the understanding that when I commit to something, I need to be clear what I'm after, what's the end result. And I'll give you a story. I I was writing my master thesis. So I was a master student in finance, very econometrical, mathematical degree, very complicated. Um, and I had to write a master thesis. I had 5 months to write it, and I don't like to write. It's not my thing.
funny
So
considering you've written two books, but
I'll tell you about it as well. I started writing, but I was excited about other things, right? So it's like 5 months, I have enough time. 60 pages of scientific paper, and I had to have 30 pages of numerical research. So 5 months is pretty fine, So I postponed it once. I had the chance to postpone it for 3 more months, and I postponed it twice, 3 more months. And when I had 28 days to write my paper, I I learned some of those things that I don't know. I was like, I need to be more productive. I googled something, and and then I was like, I need to be clear. What's the outcome? I have 28 days, and I need 60 pages, so 2 pages per day. So all of a sudden, my goal was not work on your thesis. It was write pages of the book every day. I had to write 2 pages of the book. I wasn't perfectionist. I was just writing 2 pages of the book. We wrote two books. I don't know what's the process of Cristobal. My process with my chapters was the same. I hate to write, Marilyn. So I'll do 9 to 10:30. I have a meeting with myself to write 2 pages of the book. They could be really crappy pages, but it has to be outcome driven. So everything you do when you make movies, it's the same. When you
Yeah.
organize your week, it's the same. When you organize a project, it's the same. It's like, what's the actual objective? What's the outcome? And you coach your team. Like, that's the beautiful thing. You can be more productive, your team can be more productive. Your productivity is going to skyrocket if you only commit to one thing. Everything we do is going to be outcome driven. That's it. Like tomorrow, if you look at your day, I look at people's to-do list because I coach hundreds of people. And people's to-do list is, if they have a to-do list, most people don't have a written to-do list. First of all, it's in their head. Oh, I'm very intuitive. No, you're not productive. You're lazy. You're not disciplined. Trust me, I'm not the disciplined person. I had to learn to have these structures around me. You're just
Yeah.
lazy. That's okay. Admit it and just move on. If you want, I have days that I don't have my to-do list, like smartly written, and then I'm not really productive. I am productive for the average person. I'm not productive for my potential. So people's to-do list look like this if they have a to-do list. Doc, budget, meeting with Marilyn. Like, it's, what is the objective? I can have a meeting with follow up with client. It's like, hello, client. I just wanted to follow up. Bye. Oh, check. Ooh, a little dose of dopamine, right? It's like, no, it didn't want to follow up with the client. You want something to happen from this follow up. And you have to define what it is. Maybe it is make sure your client knows that you have their back and you are fully there for them. Maybe that's an outcome. Or close the deal for 50,000 euro with client X. These are two different outcomes, and they both require follow up. but if I know what's my outcome, then I can strategize my day so I can achieve the outcome. If it's the 50K, they'll be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have coffee in the morning with my friend. Maybe I should do research and prepare, and like, I don't know. But when you start thinking in outcomes, gonna change your life.
I think that's really, really beautiful. And I'll ask the team to drop a link to this. We always teach leaders something called the theory of change, which is something that's usually used in kind of evaluation methods for nonprofits and governmental projects, because there the outcome is like the actual impact is really far down the line. So they have to have some method to see like what's the thing that can move the needle on this thing that to end up getting me my outcome. And it's exactly this. You start with the impact. You say, then what outcome do I need to deliver this impact? What output, the 2 pages, do I need in order to get to that outcome? And you just kind of go back to what is manageable for you, what you can actually do right now. And I think that's really very beautiful and very
Can I
wise.
share a quote? Can I share
Of
just a quote
course.
by Alan LeQuain? Planning is bringing the future into the present so that you can do something about it now.
I love that. I use that all the time, actually. I tell my leaders, I laughed out loud when you said that people tell you they don't have time to plan their time. I laughed because I always tell leaders, I'm like, borrow time from the future because you're going to end up spending 6 hours doing the stupid thing next week. Whereas if you planned it now, give me 1 hour of those six and you will save time on
But
the
by the way, Marilyn, I don't know if you are moderating me here, but I can also share the perform planning method if you want me to, like a specific day to day. How do you plan your day? I have it on my slides, but it's up to
yeah.
you. You have a lot of questions as well, so
It's
let me
okay,
know.
no worries. We can share it with
Present.
our
Present. How
audience.
do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Um, keep performing, obviously. But it's like, okay, so people to do list usually looks like this: follow up with leads, interview can like, and it's fine. It's a good first step. First of all, you need to have some sort of a system, so at least get it out of your head. You can plan in your head, but that's not enough for me or for you or for somebody who's ambitious. You need to be more clear, and you need to break things down into groups first. Okay, so um, what are the things that are connected to sales? These are all connected to sales. This is all connected to the team. This is all connected to the my duties as a leader. Okay, cool. Or you can even put your, I don't know, kids, um,
Mhm.
exercise, whatever. But then you gotta clear what's the outcome. Instead of follow up with leads, close the gig for 50K. And here's the actual brainstorming. Most people stop here. When you know the outcome, you have to
Yeah,
brainstorm what will get me the outcome. So
yeah.
eventually, many of the things you brainstorm initially, you're not gonna do them because they're not gonna get you the outcome that you want. So and I'm going a little bit even more structured here, systems. But this is because I'm fully creative and I need to do it because I want to do everything. And usually if I don't have this plan, I'm going to be going everywhere, whatever shout loudest. So here I do, um, okay, what's the outcome? And then what's the step by step that I commit to? Maybe there are 10 different ideas. I choose three. All right. How much time is that going to take me? Writing 2 pages of the book, an hour and a half. How important it is? Red, high priority, high impact. You can go with the urgent, important, whatever goes with you. I like colors. What is
Mhm.
priority today? Red. What is kind of priority? Yellow. And then the white is not really a priority, but if I have the time, I'll do it. And then it's like, who can I delegate from the team? Um, Nicoletta can manage the podcast. Nico, if you're watching, you're great. Love you. But she can upload the podcast. I can do it, but it's 30 minutes that I can commit to for something that would be more beneficial for all of us, right? Maybe closing this gig. So can I delegate to some people so it's within their priorities, and they can delegate to me, obviously. And then it's like very important. I learned that in Scandinavia because people in Denmark love to do calendars. Um, but it works. I need to commit time in my calendar. Jay Papasan, the author of The One Thing, a great book, he was on my podcast. He told me, he mentioned the research. So if you commit specific time in your calendar for a task or for activity, it's 3 times more likely you're going to get it done,
Yeah, I believe that.
only by putting in your calendar a specific slot. So even if I have a meeting with myself, I
Mhm.
say, well, Stoyan, 9 to 10:30, 2 pages of the book. I have a meeting. If somebody calls, I'm like, sorry, man, I have a meeting with myself to write 2 pages of the book. Because then I'm committed. And then you can see this is everything I have to do. It's there, it's captured, right? I don't have to worry about when I'm fully here with you. When I'm here with you, Marilyn, I don't have to worry about all the other things because they're already on my list. So I can be fully present with you. That was the challenge before. When I didn't have this structure, I would be like, I don't know, just I'm with you, but half of my brain is trying to solve a problem. It's like, no, I'm it's already from 11 to 11:30. I'm gonna solve this problem or die trying. But it's already in my calendar. And of course there's urgencies. And people are like, yeah, but if you have a calendar, you know, what if something new comes around? It's like, well, dummy, if something new comes around, it's so much easier to decide when you already have a plan and say, oh, Marilyn wants to have a call with me for this new project. Maybe I can move this thingy, whatever it is. I don't know if that's maybe not a good day here, but I can move this thing. Maybe I shouldn't be working on my book today, but meet Marilyn. It's so easy to decide when I already have a plan, a draft.
Yeah.
So you can always move. My plan is never going to be the same when the day actually comes because a lot of stuff is happening, but I have something to stick to. Most important, you have a clear plan with the objectives, with the results, with the outcomes. Jim Rohn, the leadership teacher, he used to say, "Don't start your day until you have it finished.
What a good
Don't
one.
start your week until you have it finished. Don't
Beautiful.
start your month until you have it finished." So you have to be clear if your day is being successful. How does that look like?
I love that. That's, I mean, I'm a calendar. If you're not in my calendar, you don't exist, including my family. Like everything's in my calendar, so I understand. There are two questions from the audience that are the
All right.
same questions on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm going to ask them to you again,
Interesting.
like together.
Mm,
One is, tell us about a story where a team or a company leveraged, the perform methodology
mm.
and what shifted for them, like one of your favorite stories. But we
Okay.
also have the opposing question, which is maybe tell us about a time where maybe a team failed to succeed in adopting this methodology, and what this taught you about maybe some of the hidden levers or the systemic challenges that need to be solved before
Mm.
applying perform.
Excellent couple of questions. So I'm going to start with the first one. First that comes to mind, there's literally hundreds of companies, many of them startups. We started with startups initially, implementing the methodology. Even many of the examples in the book are coming from startups. And my co-author has been a CEO for 10 years for one of the leading VC funds. So obviously that. So there's a company, I think now not they're based in Chicago, but they started from Denmark. It's called Remote More. Two co-founders and very analytical co-founders, I would say, lovely guys. So they early on we've been working together, applying the perform methodology. So they literally based the whole kind of growing the company, attracting people in the company, and they made an exit last year. So it's been quite successful. Let's say their journey was it last year, maybe a couple of years ago. So for them, I think what made a difference was commitment. They understood the value of such an approach. They were long-term oriented. They were not seeking the easy wins. In fact, when you apply such a methodology, it might be a little bit longer at first. And that's why people get a little bit, yeah, but it's a lot of work. Now we need to finish and launch the product. Oh yeah, we'll get this one guy right now that's not really connected to the values. We don't have to identify the values now because we don't have time. But later, when we get a funding route, we can start talking about culture. It's like it's a little bit too late. You haven't identified the culture. You're 20 people. You have to you're raising. You want to just, I don't know, get a lot of new people on board. And now you're like, let's talk about culture. Yeah, but you haven't really done the work. You have to do it from day one. I spoke to the CEO of Miro, the whiteboard company. Interviewed him. Then we met at the Web Summit. Had a great conversation, um, and what he mentioned on the interview was day one is the right time to start designing on values and crafting the culture you want to have. Day one. Now this is an 18 billion, I think, valuation company. He's talking about day one. Like you need to. The Airbnb founder, one of them, Brian Chesky, he said we started talking about values and crafting the culture from day one, months before we had to do our first hire. So
Mm,
what I'm saying, I'm not saying you have to apply perform. There's other methodologies, right? But you gotta take care of those topics from day one. And the companies that fail to adopt it are companies that they didn't have the commitment. They
mm,
just said, "Oh, that's great." Maybe they did a little bit of a discussion at the beginning, and then they were like, we have so many things to do, so we're not going to focus on our culture of
yeah,
our people, our productivity. So it's a matter of commitment and discipline. But it's,
yeah.
I mean,
They want to
regardless,
have a great body, but they don't want to go to the gym.
yeah, you go to the gym once and you do the perfect exercise, and you're like, that's not going to happen, guys. I mean, I don't care how good of a practice, if you just exercise, or like the metaphor with the shower, right? Marilyn is like, you you need to take a shower daily, right? It's like uh,
Mostly.
if you like, yeah, but I know these things. Okay, I know that you have to take a shower, but it doesn't make me less smelly. Like I need to take the shower. I need to go to the gym if I want to be in shape. So it's the same thing. The problem is it's simple, but it's not easy.
Mm,
Consistency is not easy, especially when you're busy, especially when you're behind time because you have big goals, or there's a crisis, or you're a startup, which is a crisis 24/7. I don't know. I don't know if I
right.
answered the question, but I would
Yeah,
say
I
that's
think you
the
have.
Oh,
Thank you. I'll take one more question from the audience. Then I
yeah.
have a final question, and then we'll do our rapid
Let's
fire and
go.
close it
Let's go.
out. The question from the audience: how can you get to know the people before you hire them? And after hiring them for a role, it's very hard to reassign them to another more suitable role, right? Question mark. Would love your view on this.
Can you please repeat?
So, two questions in one, I suppose. First is, how do you make sure you're hiring the right people
Uh huh.
that will fit into this approach, let's say,
You
or
want me
this
to go with
mentality?
that, or you want to? Okay. Give me the
Yes,
second one
and
again.
then their second question was, is it easy or hard to reassign people to another role when they join? And in some ways, you've already answered this because you gave us great
Hmm.
examples of someone who joined you for video editing and then was moved to something
Hmm.
else. So maybe leave
So
that on the
first
side.
question. First question. You don't. You can't. But you can increase the chances that you get the right fit. Um. So
How do you do?
what I do personally, and it's probably not going to fit for everybody, but I want to have a lot of discussions with them initially. So let's say we shortlist some people and we want to get them on board. I want to have a lot of discussions. Interviews is first. On the interview, I'm going to ask a lot of questions, and I don't care about the answer. I care about how they answer, because again, it's the values. I want to see that they believe in the same things, and it might be some tricky questions. So I get to see how they think. Do they talk about their boss? Do they complain? I'm gonna check all their social medias, everything they post. Are they negative? Are they complaining about stuff? Like I want to see, is there any signs, any red flags? I'm going to talk to some people that they know. I don't care about the references they have on the CV because they already told these two, three people. I mean, I don't even know why people do that. Call these two people that I told them to tell you that I'm great. No, I'm gonna go to LinkedIn and say, okay, who's some people that we know we have in common? And I'm gonna just go and check. Hey, do you know Ellie? How is she doing? Have you worked with her? Okay, who do you think? So I'm gonna do my research first of all. But then
Yeah.
the other thing I do, and mm, I before I hire somebody, I'm not sure it's possible for every organization, but I want to give them a trial. So it's
Mm,
like a, hey, I want to give you a chance to work on this project for a week, or like this marketing thing. Can you do this for me? I'm going to pay you. And then let's see how we work together. And I will, let's have a conversation. So I involve the team. I work with them. Again, I'm not sure that's possible for every organization. I don't even know if it's legal in some places to, but I think it is. Like, it's like a project based thing. Just
yeah, it's
let's do a
freelance.
week. Yeah,
Fine.
like if it's a designer, hey, can you, let's do it like this project, this poster, these things together. I care about the output, the talent, the skill. But if somebody, there's some people, yeah, I'm gonna give you another framework, and then I don't know, maybe you're running out of time, but um there's a framework about how do you trust somebody.
Mm,
And there's four elements to trust somebody in professional perspective. Because initially I was thinking, I don't trust them, but why? The first one is honesty. Do they tell the truth? I want, like, in this kind of time I spend with this person I want to hire, I want to know if they're always honest, even if it hurts. Honesty. They will say things. They will tell me the truth if I mess up something as well. Like I want to, as much as they can be transparent and honest. Second one is the skill. Are they
mm,
capable?
sure.
Can they deliver? And again, on skill, it's a little tricky because sometimes you want to get a talent that has a potential to grow, to learn. Probably they're not that experienced yet. You get this fresh graduate, but they're fast learner. So the skill is something that if they have the potential, they can be probably, depending on who you're looking for, somebody that's really, they have to be done now to do the thing. But the second one is skill. Are they capable to deliver the task that they're hired for? The third one, ownership. Super important. Will they deliver by the deadline? Or if they can't, will they communicate? Are they disciplined enough to deliver by the deadline? Can I trust them that when I say Friday, I don't have to call them 5 times to see where they are, right? I just know that Friday is going to be done. Can I trust them that they will deliver? Ownership. Number four, care. Do
Mm,
they care? Are they committed? I had somebody who worked for my team some years ago, exceptional in the first three. Honest, capable, takes ownership, delivers. She didn't care about the product. It wasn't her thing. She didn't put her heart and soul in it.
Yeah.
And here comes the mission, the purpose, the how much do you care. So if you ideally you have the all four. In some cases you can go around without fully having the second.
Yep.
You don't have them 100%, but
They'll
ideally you have
learn.
them here. So the second one is they can learn, they can be more
Yeah.
capable if they have the potential. Um, so yeah, that's what I think is what I
Nice.
do
Thank you.
usually. um, you're just
All
observing
great
people.
tips, honestly.
And then the second
Um,
part of the question, I don't know if we
no,
answered
you
it.
had already answered the second part of the question earlier in the session, so I'm going to leave
Okay,
it there. I
all
have
right,
my final question, and then we're going to do rapid fire.
let's
My
go.
final question is that in your performing times of crisis, you talk about how teams turn moment of intense pressure into catalysts for better systems. Could you
Hmm.
share a specific example?
From my experience or from
No, from the book, from your experience, a story that you love about how actually sometimes the hardest times are the ones that create better systems.
there's a company, the first that comes to mind. A company, first of all, crisis, never fun. Some people even make it sexy that crisis is, it's not fun. You have to do your very best to prevent crisis. So there's a lot of good tools. Just you have to be always on the outlook. If you look at the most high performing leaders, they're a little bit obsessive about potential crisis, which is good. They're paranoid about potential crisis. Um, the the guy from Vivino, the
Mm,
founder of Vivino, Heini Zachariasen, the largest wine company in the world, he probably a good example as well. So when Corona happened, I don't know if you guys know what the product is, but Vivino is you can go to the app and you can scan any kind of wine, and you'll see thousands of different ratings from different users about this wine, so you can understand if it's a good wine or a bad wine if you go to the shop, which is always confusing, right? I need to buy wine, but is it good? So they created this product. Now they have 70 million users. The second biggest app has 10 times less users. They're dominating, right?
yeah.
So when Corona happened, and it first, remember, it happened in China, then it went to Italy, and the whole world was watching. And Heine is watching. Heine is watching. So um, he said I was paranoid. I was like, you need to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, everything, right? What could go wrong? This is the question. What could go wrong? What if they stop logistics? Because their business model is, I think they're getting affiliate commission from uh, bringing people to other people's shops. So they don't have their own shops, but you can click and say, I can buy the wine online from there. Um, they he starts making, like, he gets paranoid and make plans around what could happen, like how can we make sure that everything is to the best prevented if anything happens. So at the end of the day, what happens is they were a bit lucky in their case. So they were a little bit lucky. What happened is everybody got into a lockdown. So what happens when you're in lockdown? You want to drink. So actually I think they doubled to triple their revenue for 2020. It was a little bit lucky in their case, but he said, I'll do it over and over and over again. Every time there's a crisis, I'll do my best to ask what's wrong and to try to prevent that. So what could be a great possibility? In the book we have a really good example. I love this example. Kai Shukovsky, by the way, he lives in Dubai. I think you guys should meet up. I'll connect you. He was the youngest appointed CEO of Kempinski Hotels, and he won multiple awards for hospitality. He was the guy who welcomed to Lithuania Joe Biden, President Macron, all these kind of leaders. They always go to his hotel, right? Now 2020, again, a Corona example. um, Corona happens, everything is shut down. Everything, they don't have so many, they don't have hotels, they don't have much cash, they don't operate like this. So he sends everybody home. There's no tourists, and he's sitting home. He's like, what do we do? First week, second week, it's not opening. What do we do? So he brings everybody together. He's like, hey guys, we got to come up with some ideas. What can we do? Nothing. Yeah, but if we could do something, what could that be? And they generate ideas, they brainstorm. And then one of the guys says, how about we turn our hotel rooms into restaurants? Interesting. Go on. Well, the legislation allows for two people to meet in public, but no more than two people. What if we do a two people restaurant in every room of the hotel? Interesting. So they go with it. They take out all the beds and they create the whole hotel was a like a mini restaurants kind of hotel, right? And and they promote it obviously online. And I mean, at that time, Marilyn, you remember, we were so bored. We wanted just something, not a walk in the park because everybody would just walk to the park, but something else. And so they just blew, like it exploded. They got so much publicity. They generated some cash, not as much cash as usual, but they generated some cash. And they went through it, and the team building element also, right? Because you're going through struggles together. So that's one good example. You can always look for some opportunities in a crisis. I mean, again, sometimes you might not be able to survive. There's the other example with the pizza place in Chicago. There's a pizza place in Chicago during the Corona times, and they're selling pizza on pieces. Nobody buys these days. But then the founder realizes, wait a second, we have these big ovens. We can bake plastic masks. In the beginning, there was a shortage of masks. So what they
Mm.
did, they said, you know what, we're going to donate all the masks to public hospitals and health institutions. So they started donating, and they also started selling masks to their customers for $3 or something like that. So first of all, they generate a lot of cash
Mhm.
that they needed, but more importantly, they were supporting their community. They're supporting
Right.
this, and it was like all the newspaper, all the TV stations. They created so much goodness, and with that so much PR that they managed to survive and go through the crisis being stronger. So secure
Great
the
story.
basics, try to survive, but also look for opportunities when everybody's in fear.
Yeah, I really love that. Of course. I mean, I started Cosmic Centaurs on April 1st, 2020. So I'm very aligned with that line of thinking. And I actually, in psychology, you call this post traumatic growth, which is your ability to take a traumatic event and turn it into something that leads to something really positive. So thank you for sharing that with us. All right, we are way above time, but it was a great conversation. So I'm not sad about it, but I need to wrap us up. Before I let you go, I just have a couple of like rapid fire questions to close us
All
off
right.
that we ask all of our speakers. And the first one is like, just finish my sentence. An effective system is.
One that you do consistently.
Love it. Yes, that's such a good, simple one and aligns beautifully with your message to us today. What is a kind of a systems thinking tool or a way that you approach thinking through systems that you'd like to share with us today? Just like a simple tool or framework that you like.
The perform methodology.
I said the same when I was asked. I was like, "Can I say my own?" Which is the omni-channel org. So I hear you. And then, lastly, what is a leadership skill or mindset that you need in order to be good at systems thinking and at evolving systems?
What is the leader that you need?
What is a leadership skill or mindset?
A leadership skill or mindset that you need. Commitment to the long term.
Yeah, discipline and long-term orientation. Thank
That's
you.
right.
Those are all beautiful answers. Thank you again for your energy, for your values. They really shone through today, and I really enjoyed our conversation. I laughed a lot and I learned a lot, so that's always a good thing.
By the way, anybody listening, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Drop a message. We always want to hear from you guys, so don't be afraid to just add me as a contact and just say hi. If something resonated with you, if you have a question, I'm not really good in writing, as you already know, but I'm really good in audio messages. So I'll drop you a voice. So just drop a message. Don't be shy. You know.
That's beautiful. Again, your generosity and your spirit shining through and staying aligned with your purpose, as you said at the beginning. So thank you for that,
But that's
Stoyan.
the thing, Marilyn. That's the thing. I'm gonna wrap up with that bit. It's like it's not work when we do what we love, when we're
Yeah.
living our mission. I can do this 16 hours a day,
Yeah.
speaking, podcasting, team offsites. Like this is our passion. Maybe not accounting. Sorry, Klaus. Sorry, Klaus. I love you. So
I
anyway,
hear you.
that's
I'm with you.
that's
I
it.
say this too. I have friends who look at how much I work and they're like, how are you not burnt out? I'm like, how could I possibly be?
Mm.
So I'm definitely right there with you. Thank you to everyone who joined us today for your comments and your great questions. We do have one more session today, and it's at 5 p.m. on a Friday, and it's kind of by design because it's going to be almost like a beautiful meditative wrap up to the week. It's part of our human and spiritual track. And it's a session with Rawan Albina, who's the director of the Leadership Academy at Shalhoub. And we will talk about purpose and connection to help navigate the tension between yourself, the other people that you lead, and the system. Thank you again all for being with us, and see you later.